Dublin Liberties.
What? Can you believe that? Cinnamony. Sweet cinnamon, baby. You know I love that.
Nice and oily across the mouth.
The nose is amazing.
Brief, no spice, no nothing like that.
If you recommend a whiskey and we score it above 9, we will send you a bottle of Bushmills 21.
It's Mo Cuts, Mo Edits. Here we go, Dublin Liberties 10-year-old coming at you.
That was juicy, Solly, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the Craft Whiskey Boys 2-minute review. Today we are reviewing the Liberties Copper Alley 10-year-old Irish single malt.
Woo!
What do we know about it, Souls?
Made by the Dublin Liberties Distillery in...
Dublin Liberties.
What? Can you believe that? Essentially, Dublin whiskey used to be the champagne of sparkling wine. You know, it was the premium whiskey of the world 100 years ago or more, I suppose. So I guess Dublin Liberties, along with a couple of others, are trying to put that back on the map.
The Liberties of Dublin was the area where all the big whiskey houses of Dublin were, and the Dublin whiskey was the best whiskey of Irish, which was the best of the world. George Rowe & Co.'s back in the day, John Powers, that's where all of the big houses were. We've got this one, Darryl McNally, the Master Distiller, has put this whiskey together. We're going to be reviewing this today, 2 minutes, obviously no cuts, no edits, but we're going to have some slight cuts and edits because we're going to chop to Mo, who's down the country.
Mo Cuts, Mo Edits.
Mo is going to be giving his score as well as our score on this whiskey. What I know about this is 10 years in bourbon, American oak ex-bourbon, and then Darryl went and sourced these casks. I think it was only 31 casks he could get his hands on of 30-year-old sherry barrels. So really, really old, steeped in sherry oloroso for 30 years, got those, and then obviously moved that 10-year-old bourbon, ex-bourbon barrels, this Irish single malt, into those sherry casks. And I think he left it in for about 6 months or so, just to give it that nice roundness. The sherry didn't want to overpower it. So I haven't tried it yet. I have no idea what this one tastes like. I have tried whiskey from Darryl McNally before. I've tried his new make, because he used to be the master distiller at Bushmills.
Bushmills.
Yeah, which we're all big fans of Bushmills. This one, I've no idea about. I'm looking forward to trying it. I don't know what Copper Alley means. Do you know what it means? I'm guessing it's an alley.
Copper Alley is, I don't really know the history of the name, but Copper Alley is in Temple Bar in Dublin, which, if you guys don't know, is like the central area of Dublin where all the bars are. Everyone goes there to party. It's a lot of fun.
Solly, did you even go to Dublin if you didn't visit a Temple Bar? No, we're fucking here.
I think if you live in Dublin, you probably never go there, but if you're visiting Dublin, you certainly would.
That's not true. I got a Temple Bar.
He doesn't live in Dublin though, so.
No, but when I did live there, you would still go out in Dublin every night.
But this is actually a triple award winner. I think they might have actually won 4 awards, but it won 3 gold, 1 in 2018, I think 2 in 2019.
Yeah.
So best Irish single malt, best Irish whiskey. I'm expecting good things, and also it's bourbon and sherry, which is obviously one of my favourites.
Yeah, so I think it was the International Wine and Spirits competition, which is one of the hardest competitions to win results in, because it is blind tasting, and it won double gold, I believe, there. So I'm expecting good things from it. Hope I'm not disappointed. I guess we'll find out in a second. Are we ready to start?
Well, I get to do a little pop.
Oh, you haven't poured yet? You on the Turkish tea glass?
Of course I am. Okay, guys, 2 minutes, no cuts, no edits.
It's Mo Cuts, Mo Edits. Here we go, Dublin Liberties 10-year-old coming at you.
Let's bring in Alpa and make that shit official. Oh, and the nose is good.
It's quite sweet on the nose, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's getting like orange, I was getting all sorts, that died away straight away.
It's like
Hazelnut, if anything.
it's like bird's eye custard. I had some the other night. I don't know why I made it. You know the powdery stuff, but when you make it with heavy cream.
Oh, stop getting in my head, man.
Lovely.
I'm trying to smell it.
Heavily honeyed.
Bird's eye custard.
It's
Anyone
like,
fancy crumble tonight? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. But I don't taste the apple crumble off it.
Strawberry, I'm getting. Almost one more sip.
Cinnamony. Sweet cinnamon, baby. You know I love that.
Nice and oily across the mouth.
Brief, no spice, no nothing like that.
Ethanol's there, but then again, it's my first whiskey of the day. It's not ridiculously high on it. It's actually nice, the ethanol on it. It's a bit of a bite on the tongue, warmness through here, not super high. I think it's at 46% anyway. Yeah, put a drop of water in that and I tell you, the nose becomes even better.
The nose is amazing. It's my favourite part so far.
It starts coming into like those pear drops.
Quite dry.
I don't have a pipette, so that's rude.
Get pear drops, cover them in custard, and that's what you're smelling on this nose.
It's kind of like a dry Chardonnay, or like a rosé or something, just there.
Lovely and oily across the mouth.
Could I reference wine to whiskey?
I'm getting like a bit of, not stewed prunes or anything like that. I guess nearly on the raisiny side, but definitely that dark berry, that kind of dehydrated dark berry. Much like if you've ever had an Amarone, you know, the way they dry out the grapes before, not all the way to raisins, but they dry them out enough before they make their wine. I'm getting a bit of that on the
I don't know if I stitched myself up, because just before this I ate a very large handful of nuts and now all I'm tasting is walnut.
No, there is nuttiness in the palate though,
There's nuts in here.
Yeah, you're not just tasting that because of what you're eating.
Not as spicy as last time though.
That's very nice. That's interesting. Not bad at all.
I like the spice on the finish. Is it spicy on the finish? Those nuts
Yeah,
are really
well, when those sherry barrels always tend to give that bit of, because some of it's to do with the oak that they use, normally Kirkus Roba, which tends to give that nuttiness and that kind of dried spice that Solly loves. You tend to get that from sherry barrels. I'm not sure what species of oak these sherry barrels were, but you can definitely taste the aged sherry through those barrels. Finish is lovely, palate great. Nose was nearly the biggest surprise for me. I really enjoyed the nose, but I enjoyed it all the way through. It's a good whiskey.
Yeah, it was very, very nice on the nose. The mouthfeel was so-so. The palate is very, very nice. I think the nose and the finish were my favourite parts of that. The finish is nice and the spice lingers on the tongue for a very appropriate amount of time.
Score. Do you want to go first or do you want me to go?
Yeah, I already know my score. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I think the nose and the finish are really of a high standard. I think the middle part, obviously the mouthfeel and the palate is good. The mouthfeel is okay, not as complex as I thought it might be. But I'd give this a 7.2, solid.
Solid from Solly.
I'm much higher than that, to be honest. I think 7.2 is really low for such a good drinking whiskey. Ethanol might be slightly warming down here, would be the only thing that, but I like that anyway.
I think that's the ethanol you want.
Yeah, it is the ethanol you want. And that's something, we talk a lot about ethanol, and I just want to touch on this real quick because it's important. People think that, oh, well, maybe, why do they speak of ethanol so much? Do they not like the whiskey burn? I love the whiskey burn, actually. I've been drinking whiskey for over a decade neat, and I love it. But for most of the people watching this channel, the one thing that tends to deter people from whiskey is that high alcohol, that ethanol that does take away from all the complexities in the glass. Much like, you know, if you're talking about a dish, right? You're making a dish, some people love raw garlic, but if you went into a very fine restaurant, they wouldn't just slather raw garlic all over the plate because it would completely detract and take away from all the other complexities going on in the dish. It would just be raw garlic. So the easiest thing to do to a whiskey is to make it high in alcohol. Because that's essentially what it is. The skill is to actually get the alcohol, the ethanol not to be there as much present, but enough to just warm you and let all the other flavors come through. So that's why I always tend to talk about ethanol, because if it's too high, I just think that it needs maybe a little bit longer. It wasn't released at the right ABV. Anyway, score. I didn't score it. I didn't score it.
This is his first drink of the day as well.
I know.
7.2 for me, baby.
Yeah, I'm at 7.9, nearly an 8 for me, actually.
Hello, Mo.
Well, what can I say? Dublin Liberties, 10-year-old Copper Alley, not bad at all. Very, very much excited to see what else they've got coming, but I'm going to have to score this a very respectful 7.6. Well done, boys.
7.6 is the average for Dublin Liberties 10. I think it's a fair score.
Very good score. Very good.
7.6, that scores above the Macallan 12.
Above the Macallan 12.
Above the Killiman.
Above the
and
Killiman.
just below the Town Branch. If you guys want to recommend any other whiskies for us to try, please pop them below. Ideally, we're hunting for that 9. We still have to do the Bushmills 21 and the Chateau Lovell Barton, which I love that we never gave a score to. We reviewed it but never scored it.
And here's something. If you recommend a whiskey and we score it above 9, we will send you a bottle of Bushmills 21.
And I'll pay for it.
Oh, well, I like that. Solly's paying, I'm in.
Nothing will beat the Redbreast 12 ever. I don't even own a bottle of Bushmills 21. I just buy Redbreast 12 every week.
Did you guys hear? No? About a craft whiskey, boys? If you haven't heard, make sure you comment, like and subscribe.